call Jenny Salisa.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak on the Local Government Auckland Transitional Provisions Amendment Bill, Mr Speaker. The purpose of this bill is to refine the massive Auckland Unitary Plan hearings process so that the panel can deliver all of its recommendations on the proposed unitary plan to Auckland Council by the statutory deadline of the 22nd of July 2016. Labor is supporting this bill, Mr Speaker, which would, amongst other things, drop the panel's quorum. Clause 4 of the bill will amend the Principal Act Section 136(1) to reduce the quorum for a 3 members panel to only 2. Mr Speaker, this should provide enough flexibility to deal with the thousands of submissions on site-specific issues that Auckland Council deals with. As everyone knows in this House, Mr Speaker, Auckland aims to be the most livable city in the world. Auckland is a city that is growing really fast at the moment. Consequently, it faces a number of pressing issues, including a serious housing crisis issue. And my office in South Auckland, Mr Speaker, it sees the fallout from this every day. The unitary plan that is proposed by this bill is a tool that would assist Auckland to meet its economic and housing need. It is an appropriate and balanced way to deal with this issue while protecting and enhancing what is most important to Aucklanders. The unitary plan will determine what is to be built and at which location, as well as to create a higher quality and more compact Auckland. Mr Speaker, the government still seems to have absolutely no firm idea of what to do to tackle the housing crisis in Auckland in the face of the most urgent housing need that is happening there right now. Just yesterday, Mr Speaker, Simon Collins in the Herald reported that every 3 days, Mr Speaker, in Auckland, at least one family is seeking housing help because they don't have any other place to live. They are homeless and they are living in cars. Many families are homeless and living in cars right now, Mr Speaker, in Auckland, and 50% of them are children. This figure, he reports, is likely to be an underestimate. Just last week, in my electorate office at Manukau East in South Auckland, our office saw 3 families who are homeless and living in cars in desperate need of assistance. 2 of these families were families with young children, and the other was a man with poor health, with disabilities, and he has a young daughter. It is appalling, Mr Speaker, that there is nowhere for these families that are living like this, living in cars in this first world country, Aotearoa, New Zealand, that there is nowhere for them that is a permanent place for them to call their home. For mothers, and especially for women with young children, it seems that it is only on occasional circumstances where they are victims of domestic violence that these families actually can go in to a house right away. Our office works on a regular basis with Housing New Zealand as well as with Work and Income New Zealand, and I must say that our office works quite well with them. However, the highest priority that they can give a family is A20. In the whole year that I've been a local MP in Manukau East, Mr Speaker, we've only given a family an A15 as the highest priority. I don't actually know what it would take for a family to get to an A20, but our office in South Auckland has not actually seen a family with A20. Even families with children who are homeless. The special housing areas have been a complete flop. We've heard only last week that they've only built 102 houses that have been completed, even though Nick Smith has promised 39,000 such homes to have been built. The latest QV data in Auckland tells us that houses has risen by 22,000 in the month after the government has announced its Bright Line test coming into effect. Yet again, an attempt to control the speculation in housing, which has been a notable failure, Mr. Speaker. The average price of house in Auckland is $918,000. There are so many families in Auckland that cannot afford that in Auckland. Right now, Mr. Speaker, the government needs to urgently establish effective measures to control the housing crisis in Auckland. May we recommend that such a solution could be a large-scale state-backed affordable housing development, as well as banning foreign speculators from buying existing homes in Auckland. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.